Good day, everyone. So it's been a while since I've broadcasted, and the reason for that is that I recently tested positive for COVID, and I'm uh, undergoing treatment at home. My antibiotic course has concluded, and now it's just a matter of, taking care of myself, staying in isolation, and figuring out the other kinks. There is a lot of vitamin being given. So if I stick to the vitamins, then I should be bouncing back pretty soon. But I will be stuck here till about mid-May. But as they say, the show must go on, must it not? So here I am back with another story for you. As discussed earlier, before I fell sick, the story was supposed to be Misery by Anton Chekov, which is actually one of my favorite stories in the whole wide world, because I read this when I was first, in school, and one of my mother's students had it in her syllabus. And after reading it, I was like, why don't they have this in our English course? I want to study this. So anyway, didn't get to study it, but I did fall in love with it. So here it is for your pleasure. Misery by Anton Chekov. It's winter in Russia and the snow is coming down unforgivingly. And our protagonist, a certain Iona, is sitting in his cab and he is waiting. He is bent double almost. He is waiting for a fare. And in front of him is his horse, and it is a very bleak sight actually. A very, very bleak sight. Uh, and by, a man does come to hire him, and he sits in the cab and he says, I wish to go towards the river, and I want you to take me as fast as possible. And so Iona whips up the horse, and they are cantering along the road in the snow. And by, Iona turns his head and says, my son, he died yesterday. And the man is just not interested in hearing it. The man simply says, do you think I pay you to talk? Or words to that effect. I am actually paraphrasing, because if I give you the exact, I don't feel like giving the exact text right now. But the man is paraphrasing a bit, and he's like, do you think I want to talk to you? I have hired you to take me here, and I want you to take me here. That's it. And so Iona is silenced, and Iona continues to just control the horse. And the man leans back in his sled and occasionally barks that he should go faster or slower. That's it. And so Iona takes him to where he wants to go, by the river, and he pays Iona a certain sum and gets out of the cab. And then Iona is again alone, and you can see the grief in his body language. I mean, I wish I could quote from the text for you right now, but it's not possible, because I can't find the book in which the story is. It's in my library in like 3 separate books, but I had to read it online, so I couldn't find the story in those 3 books for some reason, and I've been too out of it. So anyway, Iona is alone again, and Iona is thinking quite clearly, quite grieved. Just imagine a parent who has lost his son, and suddenly a group of 3 people, extremely drunk, arrive, and they start shouting about going to a certain location, and they take over the cab. And when the cab is not moving fast enough, they start to hit Iona in their drunkenness. And Iona laughs and says, the gentlemen are merry, the gentlemen are merry. My son was also merry, like you gentlemen. and he has been taken from me. He is no more. He has died of a fever. And once again, this is as far as he gets. Because once again, these youth, they don't want to hear it. They don't give a damn. And Iona is once again silenced. And this continues for the rest of the night. I think he gets one more fare, and he cannot take it anymore. He goes back to the retreat where the cabs are supposed to be kept. He unharnesses his horse, and he goes into the lodge. And because he has not earned enough, he cannot give his horse oats. So he just keeps his horse in his location in the stable, comes out, goes into the lodge, and is going to rest. When a fellow cab driver wakes up from his sleep, and this cab driver, he says, "Where is the water? I want a drink of water." And in his desperation, Iona tries to tell the cab driver about his son. And the cab driver is also not interested in hearing it. And he just has his drink of water, curses Iona a little bit, and goes back to sleep. And finally, Iona gets up, and very slowly, like a man sort of at the end of it, he walks out of the lodge and goes to the stables. And in the stables, he sees his horse, and he starts to stroke the horse, starts to pet the horse, and says, "I'm sorry, I could not give you oats. You're eating hay today. I didn't earn enough for your oats." And the horse is silent. The horse does not rebuke him. And so Iona puts his hands on the nose of the horse, and the horse breathes into Iona's hands. And then Iona starts telling the horse, you see, my son, he had a fever, and he could not survive. He is no more. And just imagine if today you were to give birth to a colt, and that colt were to be taken from you. A big, strong, young colt, if it were to be taken from you for some reason or the other. Do you understand how that would feel like? Do you understand what I am going through? And the last line of the story is the horse breathed on Iona's hands, and he listened. And Iona told the horse everything. And that, ladies, gentlemen, kids who are watching this, I hope there are kids watching this, is Misery by Anton Chekov. I had warned you in my Instagram post that this was going to be a difficult story to hear. This was going to be a sad story. And, well, I have just narrated it to you. I would love to know what you thought of the story. I would love to know if I was able to deliver it well enough, considering that I am sick. But I will be back again on Monday with another story. I will try to make it, the next one, a little funny. I'll try to make it a Woodhouse maybe. I haven't read Woodhouse for years. Literal years. So maybe it is time to tell you one of the Jeeves stories, or maybe I'll tell you a Galley. I love Galley. Do you love Galley? And if you don't know who Galley is, then I think you should wait for me to tell you about Galley. Until the time we meet again, this is the Bills Master signing off. And don't worry, you will get your story next week. I do not intend to let this disease do me in, not just yet. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. This is the Bench Master signing off.